Welcome back, my fellow golf ball addicts. I am so excited to be here and to be doing a continuation of ranking the 100 golf balls I've tested on the channel. So far, the feedback I've received has been phenomenal. I really appreciate all you guys who are watching and keeping up with this. It's been a lot of fun, and it feels like it has been for you too. So I'm really excited to close out our bottom 50 here today. Of course, with going 59 through 50, we just cleared up 69 through 60 last time. Now we're kind of getting in that point where these golf balls aren't necessarily all bad or even mediocre. Some of these golf balls actually might be pretty good. In fact, there's a couple on this list you'll see that I really like a lot, but something happened. Maybe they're a terrible value. Maybe they just didn't have a great driver number. Maybe the driver number was one of the worst and that's what propelled it down. But something kept these golf balls from getting any higher. Some of them are just mediocre though. You'll notice some of them are just mediocre. So as always, if you haven't seen the introductory video I've done on this, please, it's in the link below. It just kind of goes over what I'm basing these reviews on. So if you haven't seen any of these yet, if you want to know how I got to these conclusions, you can check out that quick video just to kind of know what I'm basing this on. Let's start off with 59. Let's dive right in. Number 59, the Callaway ERC. I know this is going to disappoint a lot of you. I know a lot of you really like the Callaway ERC. When I did the review of it, I got a lot of hate for, you know, people saying, oh, it was such an amazing golf ball. I want you to retest it. And I would love to. I would love to retest it. I actually tested, I think it was the 22 model, and then I got a bunch of feedback that said, hey, the 23 is better. Well, now they're getting ready to come out with the 24. So I will be retesting it in 2024. Hopefully those numbers are a lot better. But essentially what the 22 model was, it was really dead feeling off the club. I didn't get a lot of spring to it. The numbers were very subpar across the board. The value is okay. The durability is pretty good. You know, Callaway does a really good job with that most of the time. But with those subpar numbers, this golf ball really just felt mediocre across the board, and there was nothing that really hurt it in a negative way, and there was nothing that really propelled it up in a positive way, excuse me. So it just kind of sits there in the middle and ended up at 59. Number 58, Maxfli Tour S. Another golf ball that I received a ton of hate once I did the review on, and mainly the hate, it was a little justified because at the end of that video I'd kind of said I wasn't sure who this golf ball was for. It didn't make a lot of sense for Maxfli at the time to me to come out with another golf ball. They already had a bunch of great ones, and then to come out with a random Tour S, I didn't quite understand who the market was for. Now, of course, realizing this later, I realized that it's kind of supposed to be an AVX model rival. It's supposed to be a tour golf ball at a cheaper price, but launches really low. I still have mixed feelings on this. My mixed feelings essentially come from, is there a need for a golf ball like that? Of course there is. There are guys that hit the ball too high in the air. Maybe you've got some older clubs that are really high lofted. Maybe you just have a tendency to leave the face open and impact a lot. Maybe you hit fades. Maybe you're just a fast swinger and you have a tendency to get the ball too high up in the air because of the ball you're playing or the clubs you're using, whatever it may be. There is a market for a golf ball for a golfer like that. My problem is all the people I've met who play this type of golf ball, none of them have that issue. It's amazing to me how many people are like, oh, I love the AVX. It's so awesome. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you have problems hitting the ball up in the air too high? And they're like, no. Well, that's the point of the golf ball. Like, it's designed to go low. It's designed to be penetrating and low for guys who hit the golf ball too high in the air. And same thing with this one. The Maxfli Tour S did launch low. That was my testings across the board. It launched really low. The numbers weren't bad. There was a couple really good ones as well. I got great driver numbers with it. The value is not as good as it could have been. I know in past years the Maxfli value has been amazing. Now it's just good, and it continues to go down a little bit every year. I hope they stop that trend in 2024. More on that later. But overall, yes, at the time, maybe I shouldn't have said I don't know who the golf ball is for, but the other thing is it's definitely not intended for me. I don't have an issue getting the ball too high up in the air. If anything, my golf ball launches mid, or if anything, sometimes low already. I don't need a lower golf ball, so it wasn't designed for me. So the fact that it still got into the 50s isn't bad. If you're someone who needs a lower flight, if you're someone who does hit a little too high in the air, give this one a try because, you know, the AVX is expensive. It's really, really expensive, and the Maxfli could offer you a pretty good value. Number 57. The Callaway Chrome Soft LS. Another golf ball that I'm really surprised made it as high as it did, considering it's not for me. I don't have a problem getting too much spin. I don't need less spin. I don't need, you know, a Tour X golf ball to where, you know, I'm swinging really fast. Nothing about this golf ball should be for me, but Callaway does a phenomenal job with their Tour balls. I really love them a lot, and the LS is no different. I think if you're someone who swings really fast and you need an X model golf ball, but you also get way too much spin, you know, your balls just kind of balloon up in the air, which is a real problem for a lot of fast swingers. Sometimes you just got really too good of clubs and you have too good of a swing and you just spin it way too freaking much and you're losing distance, you need to get a little extra, this golf ball is for you. I like what it did a lot. I actually got really good driver numbers with it. On the short wedges, not so great because again, it's too firm. It's not meant for me. But the fact that it ended up where it ended up, despite not even close to being for me at all, that tells you something. So if you are in the need of a golf ball like that and you are a fast swinger, or if you know any fast swingers and you know guys who need a little less spin, recommend this golf ball. I've recommended it to a couple of my buddies who swing really fast and they've really liked it a lot. Number 56, Wings Distance Golf Ball. So this is an interesting case here. So if any of you are my loyal followers and you saw this review, you'll know that I was pretty head over heels about the Wings golf ball. Essentially, this was a golf ball that was sent to me by a company. I had no idea who they were. They just said, hey, can you review our golf ball and just give us your honest shake on it? And I said, sure, of course. So they sent them to me. I pull them out. I have no idea what to expect. It's different. Just look at this golf ball. It's different. It's unique. Does it look a little cheap? I mean, yeah, of course it does. It's a two-piece distance golf ball. But I tested the golf ball and I was super, super impressed. Even around the green, it did better than I thought it would. Off putts, I thought it did better than I thought it would. But then when I got to the performance numbers, everything I gained a little bit of distance on across the board. Whether it be the short irons, mid irons, long irons, driver, everything was consistent and everything was farther than my averages. It just had so much pop off the club. It had so much bounce to the ounce. It felt so good coming off the club face. Well, you might be asking me, well, Nick, if that's all the case, then why on earth would this be so low? Why would it be, in the 50s if all that's true? Well, here's the thing. The design of the golf ball, it's okay. I mean, let's be honest with you. It looks real cheap. Not a lot of people are going to go for this. Not a lot of people are going to go for that type of look. It's going to turn a lot of people off, and I know it has. I've shown people, that I've played with, and they're pretty turned off immediately. But that's not it at all. So the other thing is that besides the Titleist Tour Soft, this golf ball has the undisputable curse of being way too expensive. This golf ball comes in at $36 a dozen for a two-piece golf ball. And anytime you get in the $25, $30 range for a two-piece, iometer blend golf ball, that's too expensive. Getting to 36, just no one's going to buy it. And unfortunately, that was the feedback I got from most of the viewers I got. When I did the review, I kind of at the end of it was like, hey, would you pay for it? Is this something you would do? Every comment was like, I would never spend that on a two-piece golf ball. And I don't blame you. Why would you? You could get a really good quality golf ball that's more of a three-piece, urethane, whatever. Really, it opens the door to a lot of stuff. But $36 is just way too much. And just for funsies, I redid the score. And I put the golf ball if it was $20 a dozen. This is to show you how bad the value hurt it, like how much the value impacted the score. If this golf ball was $20 a dozen, it would be in the mid-20s. That's how much that score hurt it. And you might say, well, Nick, come on, really, just the value alone hurts it that much? Yes, it does. Because essentially what you're doing is you're taking a golf ball that, hey, if it was $20 a dozen, I bet they'd be selling out like hotcakes. I mean, just from my review alone, I know that everyone who watched it and saw that review from front to end and saw how excited I was would have at least tried it for $20 a dozen. I mean, worst case scenario, you're at 20 bucks. Who cares? But to try a two-piece golf ball for $36, $37 a dozen, no one's going to do that. And so unfortunately, it kind of takes the golf ball from, hey, check this out, this is awesome, to, I don't know if I'd ever do that, which is enough to get it in the 50s. Number 55, the Quantix F35. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed this. I wouldn't have guessed this at all. The other Quantix ball was pretty low on the list. Didn't like it at all. The F35 actually is kind of interesting because it's one of the longest golf balls ever tested. And I do mean that. Like, it actually was designed to just be really loud, really obnoxious, but it goes a long way. And although I didn't have much of success with the short irons, once I got to the mid, it was average. And then after that, I got kind of the same results. I got a lot of distance gained. I do like Quantix's logo. I like how they design it. Now, this is not a urethane golf ball, but the value is still pretty good too. It's around $30 for a dozen of them. You can't beat that, especially for like a three-piece distance golf ball like this. It's not going to blow anybody away, but if you're someone who's looking for a lot of distance and you don't mind that loud ping, it's not that bad. Really, the golf ball is just kind of mediocre overall. If it wasn't for those distance numbers, though, it would probably be a lot lower. So, Number 54, the MaxFly Tour. This is another one that I know you guys are going to hate me for, but the numbers are the numbers. Look, the MaxFly Tour, back in the day, had an amazing value. When they first came out, I think it was two for, you have to excuse me, it was 2 for 50. 2 dozen for $50 when they first came out. I think it was 2020 with COVID. Then the next year, I think it was 55, 2 for 55. Then it was 2 for 60. Now we're at 2 for 70, and I don't know what they're going to do for 2024. That might go up. Is that still a good deal at $35 a dozen? Of course it is. That's a good deal. But man, it used to be a great deal. So value-wise, they're still good, but that's it. They're good. They're not great anymore. The other thing is the numbers. The numbers are consistent, but they're just mediocre. They're just average. I actually lost about a yard or two with every single club until you get to the driver, which I actually gained a little bit of distance on. I like how the club comes off the driver. I just don't like how it comes off any other club. It does feel a little dead. I wish they would have a little more bouncy ball effect in there, have a little more spring to it. Maybe I'd get a little more excited when I hit it. But other than that, it is what it is. I do like the fact that they've had alignment tools in the past. I like their design. I think they've actually made a really good tour ball that does compete, maybe not compete head to head, but gives people a valuable option to go to if they don't want to spend, you know, $60 on a dozen of Pro V1s. I don't blame them. So Maxfly's moving in the right direction. I like what they're doing. I can't wait to test their 2024 balls. Maybe it'll move them up the list a little bit. Number 53, the Srixon Z-Star Diamond. So, interesting enough, another golf ball that is in no way intended for me. Srixon actually made this golf ball for Brooks Koepka when he signed on. He wanted a specific, firmer golf ball, which the Srixon Z-Stars have always been more tailored to the public anyway, opposed to, you know, PGA golfers. I know there are some PGA golfers that use them, but most of the time they send them a prototype opposed to what they send us. Ours are usually a lot squishier and fun, and I mean, I get phenomenal numbers with them. I blast them off the club. You'll see them eventually on this list, but they'll be high up, I promise you. But they decided to essentially release the Diamond model. It came out with Brooks Koepka, and it was a firmer, more bendable, you know, tour golf ball. Like a guy who can put it down and swings real fast. Hey, I'm going to put a hook. I'm going to put a slice. I'm going to put a draw. I'm going to hit it low. I'm going to hit it high. Yeah, I can't do that. But professional golfers can, and that's what they needed. Now, despite that not being for me, I got pretty decent numbers. Not with the short irons, mid-iron okay, but boy, once I got into the hybrid and once I got into the driver, I had phenomenal numbers with them. I loved how it felt off the club. I've always had an affection for Srixon golf balls, and it really gave it a lot of that magic. I love how it performed around the green. It had a lot of greenside spin. It had a lot of control with it. Love how it felt off the putter. Boy, it just felt buttery and smooth. There was a lot to like. There was a lot to like for sure. And again, like I said before, if it's not meant for me and it's this high on the list, being in the 50s, if you're someone who swings really fast, give it a shot. I mean, if you can get a sleeve of them and just try them out, I definitely recommend them. Number 52, Brunch Golf. So the Brunch golf ball, you know, this was actually, I think, like the 99th golf ball I tested, or 98th or something. It's one of the most recent ones I've done. It's a startup company. They're brand new, but I got to say, they do a lot of things right. Did I get phenomenal numbers? No, across the board, it was pretty okay, average. It's a firmer golf ball. It definitely is. It has a great value, though. You get 16 golf balls opposed to the regular 12 dozen for $40. That's a really great deal for a urethane, more firmer, traditional golf ball, but it's just meant for a faster swinger. That's all there is to it. It was definitely firm. I used it on the course. I liked it on the course. I enjoyed it. But again, just not for me. It's meant for other people. But I recommend that if you are looking to support more local business or more, you know, the underdog, give this a shot. At least go to the website and check it out. From what I understand, they're trying to get that price lowered as well, so that would be really good. But again, I tested a lot of direct-to-consumer golf balls in 2023. I love the direct-to-consumer line because I think it offers a better value. But here's the thing, a lot of those companies just don't seem to understand. You know, when I get the Dia Wings golf ball at $36 a dozen, they're missing the point of direct-to-consumer. When I do the big Crusher golf and it's $35 a dozen, they're missing the point. Like, Brunch Golf gets the point of direct-to-consumer. They get the point of why they're there, they understand, and in their first year, they did a lot of things right. So I really hope to see them grow. Number 51, the Kirkland Signature version 2. So the version 3 was dookie. I mean, let's be honest, it was. It was at the very bottom. If you didn't see it, I think it was in the bottom 10. It was not good. It was firmer. They firmed it up, tried to make it more directly like a Pro V1. But the V2 was not that way. That was the one I reviewed really early in the year. It definitely had a lot more softness, a lot more spin. It spun like crazy on the green. I mean, you could get it to come back at you. Even the average golfer could get it to come back at you, which is kind of cool. But there's a couple things that aren't great with it. The durability was just okay. The driver numbers were abysmal. I mean, once you got to the driver, it was awful. Everything outside of that, though, was pretty decent. I mean, it's an awesome value. You're not going to find a better value, especially for a urethane golf ball on the market. And plus, just, you know, with the short iron, good stuff. With the hybrid, really good stuff. With the 7-iron, good stuff. You know, it's really good for the most part, and I like how it felt. Unfortunately, it's just not consistent enough to really give it a good enough score, and so it sits just right at the middle mark, basically. Number 50, the cut gray. So the cut blue was really, really low on this list, essentially because it had by far the worst durability I'd ever seen on a golf ball. And although the cut gray may not be the best durability or even great durability, it's a lot better than the cut blue, and it does a lot of the things, again, that the cut blue did well. It's extremely inexpensive. It actually has a pretty good feel to it. They're really accessible. You can buy them anywhere. Target, Walmart, you know, I mean, anywhere. You can get them eventually anywhere you grocery shop. They spin really well, and it's a really good introductory to a 3-piece golf ball urethane if someone wants one, because you don't have to spend a bunch on them. They used to be 20 bucks a dozen. I think they're 25 now, but that's still really, really inexpensive. But again, none of these numbers were so great that it propelled it any higher than just being average. It sits right in the middle at 50 because, you know, the 9-iron numbers were average, but they're average. The 7-iron was average, but it was average. You know what I mean? It's just average across the board, and really the only thing that saves it and propels it even as high as it is that value. So not bad. Definitely give it a try if you're wanting to take that leap of faith from a 2-piece golf ball to a 3 to see how you like it, just to see if it works for you. But if you start noticing that ball curve a little too much right on your drives or left or whichever way, definitely bring it back in and try that 2-piece again. All right, guys, I appreciate it. We are officially halfway done. Stick around in a few days. We will have 49 through 40. We are getting closer. I appreciate it as always. Keep watching and keep saving and keep learning. Until next time.